Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, a remake of the iconic Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, has generated much excitement and discussion among fans and the gaming media. So today, I have put it upon myself to go through an overview of the upcoming game, how it compares to the original, and the reactions from both the production team as well as critics. Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Cari. I go by Psypris online. It is my dream to be an entertainer, so if you are at all entertained by this video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Okay, so full disclosure, it took me like 3 times to do that intro. I am just not used to recording. I have also been collecting articles, and like the second trailer came out while I was working on this back in September. I wanted to have an early October release of this video, and you know, it just didn't work out, and my schedule was a little bit wonky. And so it just kind of happened where, like, you know, when like you gather information, you're like, oh yeah, I could talk about that. Oh yeah, I could talk about that. I have so much information, and I just started getting overwhelmed. And then I started like, oh yeah, I got to get back to that. So full disclosure, this episode is half written and then half me. You are going to be able to tell the difference. I was going to put it on my teleprompter and everything. You know, I'm just like, no, I will read what I have, what I had collected, and we will just go with it. I am planning some stuff to try and make this a thing again. I feel like it's been so long. So I was just like, you know what? I gotta get over this mental speed bump. You know, nothing is going to be perfect, but done is better than perfect, as they say. That is something that I am learning. Also, I wanted to say I was going to talk about the Metal Gear, the Masters collection, and I did find an article about like Metal Gear Solid Online, which was weird because so I set up alerts so that I could stay on top of news and everything, and but when I actually like clicked that, I was like, oh, is there news? The article is from like 2016, so I didn't look back into it. I was like, oh wait, this is old news. So I don't know if it came back online. If you guys want me to search that up, I will. I don't really play multiplayer like that. I like my single gameplay. So it's not something that I'm personally interested in, other than it has the name Metal Gear in the title. But I do want to be a little bit more broad in the topics that I cover on this channel. So it might not be something that I am familiar with or something that I would normally play on my own that I'd like to start talking about. That is not what this episode is about. But you know, as I said, this episode just kind of got to be too much, and it just plain overwhelming with all of that information. So this is going to be about Delta only. Nothing else about Metal Gear. I'm not going to really be talking about the like main storyline. That is something that I do want to create a whole mini series, because that can take a long time to go through the actual story and the lore and everything of the Metal Gear Solid series. This is specifically talking about the new game remake that is coming out. So let's just go ahead with what we have and jump out of that plane, and we'll equip ourselves along the way. All right, first up, let's look at the first trailer. They released this a year ago, and this is the announcement trailer.
peace and silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart.
PlayStation.
Okay, so it didn't really show much. It was gorgeous, but it didn't show anything. It was literally a teaser, which I think is appropriate for an announcement trailer. You know, you see Snake at the end. I'm glad that bird got away, because I was like, if you pull a Fable or something and have, yeah, it was. The fairy got eaten in that trailer. And I'm like, why? Why do that? So at least the bird got away. And then I was like, is that EE's bird? Like, it was very like, that's not the same, I like the type, because that was a parrot that was owned, and that was also in Sons of Liberty with Solid Snake. So no, this is Naked Snake becomes Big Boss. So those are different characters. I don't know if you know, I don't want to be condescending, all right, but those are different. That is in the storyline, but just so you know, Naked Snake is not Solid Snake. So the Snake character that you see in these trailers is not the same one that is in the first Metal Gear Solid 2, or Metal Gear Solid 4, which kind of goes into the lore a lot more. So this guy is tied to Phantom Pain. There's just a lot. Don't worry about it. Just go with it. Okay. This guy's the OG. Let's just put it that way. But I did want to actually cover, I have Gamatsu, I don't know, has a great breakdown of the game. All of the articles that I'm quoting will be in the description down below. I will also go ahead and just link all of the articles I read that I collected, regardless if I actually quoted it. I'll just keep them separate so you know if I'm directly quoting something. I always like to give credit where credit is due, especially because like that, they do my homework for me. So it's team, yay! So let's just kind of go over the basics. Like I said, this is Naked Snake. So the era is the 1960s. And they call it the Battle of Ideologies. I'm not a history buff. History. Herstory. It says relive history as the Cold War and geopolitical landscape change. So I guess it's about the Cold War. Yes, I've played the game. I played the original game. Couldn't tell you. I don't. It goes in one ear, out the other. You know, it's like, oh, war, no. You know, like Call of Duty. All of those, you telling me they take place, like, I know Sniper Elite, like, takes place during, well, no. Some of them take place during World War II, because I remember, like, fighting them. But anyway, so the game's play is, they put it survival, battle of instincts, which is true. So outsmart enemies with camouflage, close quarter combat, stalking, interrogating, climbing, hunting, and treating your injuries. That is, yes, I've always said, I love the Metal Gear Solid series. I started on Sons of Liberty with Raiden, and I fell right into step. I'll talk about that later, but with Raiden. Raiden was helping me through stealth gameplay, because before that I really only played like Mario and Sonic and, you know, like the happy, like, you know, just kind of like side scroller type of stuff. Metal Gear 2 was the game that made me the gamer that I am now. I was always scared of like first person shooters, that kind of stuff. I know I've told this story before, so I won't get into it, but I really felt like my hand was held. And so that's also funny because a lot of people always had a problem with Raiden. I didn't, because I came in with him. And so I didn't know Solid Snake. I knew of him, but exactly like Raiden, like I had the same thing. Like he was a legend, you know, like, oh, he's the main character of this game. But anyway, I really love how Snake Eater specifically, that is my favorite of the series in terms of gameplay. Nostalgia is Metal Gear 2. And I think I really felt like, because I was in it, I knew how to do everything. So Metal Gear 4 is probably my favorite game overall, just because it was an emotional pull and I was there for, midnight release, like that kind of stuff. But Metal Gear 3, this game, Snake Eater, hands down the best gameplay because it did have a little more realism, but not like, there's that one like car racing game where it is so realistic that you have to like get your driver's license before you can start racing. I never played it, but Fel Harbor told me, she couldn't get her license in the game. So like some things get too realistic. Snake Eater has that nice level where you did have to like pull up the menu and see where you were bleeding from. So if you got shot in the shoulder, it would tell you got shot in the shoulder. I think I always was hurt in my like knees and ankles somehow. I guess I'm a dainty bitch. I don't know. Then you could spray it with like the first aid stuff. That then got into game logic where you spray it, you immediately stop bleeding. I guess there's like tourniquet type stuff in war, but you don't necessarily like if you got shot and you put a patch on it, like a real soldier would not be okay. Maybe they would live, but they wouldn't be okay. So it has that nice where you do feel survival. You do have to like eat rats and snakes, but it's not like Minecraft. I don't remember ever being like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die because I'm hungry. It was more like you could eat to heal yourself, I believe. From what I remember, it has been years. However, I am going to replay all of the series on Tier 2 Works. That is in the works. I wanted to go ahead and start, but, I need a mulligan of October. Except for I don't want to relive. I don't want to relive June or October. Let's just get on with the year. Anyway, back to the recap. The setting is the jungle. It says the battle of reptiles. Put yourself against an environment where traps catch enemies and prey, threats lurk in the shadows, and noises alert predators. I very do much remember that. Yes. And I also, like you could change your camo depending on where you were. So you'd want to wear like the sand when you're in the desert. You'd wear the green one when you're in the swamp. There is a red suit for like when you're in around like the buildings and everything. I believe this is the one that I really first used, like the knocking, because it was always in those games. Because I do remember distinctly, I know there was a time that like Raiden could knock, but I never really used it. But in Snake Eater, I did use it because you'd knock it and then they'd come around, or you could throw a rock to get some guys over there. So I really loved that. And yeah, there are like alligators, there crocodiles, whichever one lives in the jungle. What are those other ones that are like really long and then like the bulbous nose, charybdis? Whatever, that one. I'll just put it here. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to play it now that I have the confidence of a few other games that are high stress under my belt. And I still don't know. I think I might play it and then play the remake. I think I might do a double hitter because I love Metal Gear, so why not? And it's the new ones. Well, we'll get there with the release date. We'll get there. Now that we've equipped the Dragunov rifle, our first rifle in the game, and we have an eye for our surroundings, we know we're in a jungle, we've got a nice, it's all painted for us beautifully. Let's watch the trailer from June of this year that gives us actual content.
Altitude 30,000 feet. Approaching Soviet airspace.
Listen up, Jack. Your mission is to infiltrate Selino Yask in the Soviet mountains, ensure the safety of Sokolov, and bring him back to the West. Your codename for this mission will be Naked Snake. I'll be referring to you as Snake from now on. The clock is ticking. This will be a sneaking mission. You must not be seen by the enemy. You must leave no trace of your presence. Is that clear? This kind of infiltration is the Fox unit's specialty. In other words, weapons and equipment are procured on site. That goes for food as well. You're completely naked, just as your name implies.
I have to find my own weapons and equipment? Whose crazy idea was this anyway?
The mission rests entirely in your hands.
A real one-man army. Freeze. Speak. Commencing virtuous mission now.
So, how'd you like it? I'm gonna read another quote again. As GameSpot summarizes it, there's not much, if any, gameplay in the new trailer. Instead, it focuses on the first mission of the game as Naked Snake, the future big boss. Oh, spoilers. I know I said at the beginning, but whatever. Goes behind the Iron Curtain to retrieve a Russian scientist named Sokolov. In the lore of the game, Sokolov is the creator of the Shagohod. I never knew any of the names of like the Metal Gears stuff. It's a nuclear tank that is the forerunner of every Metal Gear that came after it. So all of those guys are after Shagohod. Shagohod? Yes. Shag-o-hod. Shagohod. Does that mean anything? Am I like, I can't be a curse. Oh, look it up. Does that mean anything in Russian? The trailer features Snake's first encounter with Ocelot and offers a glimpse of the elite Cobra unit. But more importantly, it reenacts Naked Snake's betrayal at the hands of his mentor, the boss, as she turns on her country and defects to Colonel Volgin's renegade Soviet forces. From there, Snake's mission takes a turn for the worst, as Volgin launches a nuke that will have repercussions later in the game. To close out the trailer, Snake finally meets Eva, the double agent who proves to be his only reliable ally in the country. Yes. Metal Gear Solid 3's original voice recordings were retained for the remake, including David Hayter as Naked Snake, yay! Laurie Allen as the boss, Michael Bell as the Fear, Richard Doyle as the Fury, J. Grant Albrecht as the End, Neil Ross as Colonel Volgin, and Suzetta Minette as Eva. So I think now is a good time for me to stop to just fangirl for a minute. So I already liked Ocelot. I think that's also what made Metal Gear 4 so powerful for me. Again, a lot of story, but I really love when characters are just so rich and dynamic, but the detail of his facial expressions, the reactions, like the haughtiness, in this trailer, I'm just like, he's a certified hottie. If kids are still saying that, I don't know that kids have ever really said that, but yeah, like he's awesome. He's one of my favorites. Obviously, Raiden will always have a safe place, yes, a special place in my heart. But Ocelot as a character, like it's just a beautiful piece of like literary, like storytelling, I feel. Anyway, I also you can hear Cammy. This is the first time I think I'm recording with her able, so we have like the stairs. We used to have a baby gate, so she couldn't come upstairs without an adult supervisor, but now she can, but she's not really allowed into the studio. No animals are allowed in here because there's like recording equipment, and also usually I'm only in here if I'm recording for work. So, Sassy too! Oh my goodness, we have so many animals. So this was not planned, but hello guys. They just had dinner. And I'm imagining my videos are going to be a lot more of this, which is fine. But anyway, so just as an Easter egg, in the original Snake Eater, you could put a face mask, because again, you have like different camos and stuff. You could wear a face mask that looked like Raiden, because chronological Snake Eater came out after Sons of Liberty, even though storyline it's like that. It's not the same character. So it was just really really funny to have seen that. You could actually you could play as Raiden with the face. I did, because I'd heard about it, so I did like start it. So like in the intro cutscene, like he had the face mask, but I don't know if you could keep it throughout the game. I'll have to look into that and see when we play through it. But there's also, what is his name? Rykov? Rykov is Volgan's assistant. So he bears a very striking resemblance to Raiden. I think it also, some fans who disliked Raiden like the Rykov character because it was just a little bit insensitive, at least from what I just remember him wearing a thong. So, but yeah, so overall, this second trailer really kind of showcased the stunning visuals. I think, regardless of what you think about this remake, you have to say that it's beautiful. It's really come a long way with the PlayStation 5 like advanced hardware. Like they're able to capture this, and I will say they're realistic. I do think there are some games out there that really look like people, and I think because they have always been characters, I think there's only so real they can get. I don't know if that makes sense, but I know what I'm talking about, and that's all that matters. That one with that guy in it, Death Stranding, really looked like Norman Reedus, whereas Snake looks like Snake. You know what I mean? Like, so he looks like what we all thought he'd look like, but he doesn't necessarily look like a guy that would be walking down the street. You know what I mean? But it's still absolutely gorgeous. And then, yes, this trailer gave us a look of all of the major characters, like I'd already talked about Ocelot, Eva, and it did kind of solidify that the remake stays true to like the core story, that it is a remake. It's not necessarily a overhaul. What is that called? A revamp? I guess we usually, when we talk about TV series and stuff, it's a remake. So now there is another trailer that was released in September, and that's the one that was launched to me, and I was like, yes. I was going to make this video because of it. So let's dig a little deeper into that trailer.
Listen to me, Jack. Just because soldiers are on the same side right now doesn't mean they always will be. Politics determine who you face on the battlefield.
Is that why you abandoned me?
The only thing we can believe in with absolute certainty is the mission.
Your mission is to retrieve Dr. Sokolov.
You mean the Soviets pulled out of Cuba just to get their hands on Sokolov?
That's right.
What the hell was he working on?
Are you one of Volgan's men?
No. I've come to escort you back to the other side of the Iron Curtain. That's what they were making you build?
Yes, the Shagohod.
A nuclear-equipped tank capable of operating solo.
If it is completed and the Colonel gets his hands on it, it will mean the end of the Cold War. And then the Age of Fear will truly begin.
A world war.
And Ocelot never lets his prey escape.
Sokolov was being guarded by the KGB and hunted by GRU? Snake, it sounds like this could be even hotter than Cuba.
I'm defecting to the Soviet Union. Sokolov is a little gift from my new hosts.
Are we taking him with us?
No, this one is still just a child. He has not yet found an emotion to carry into battle.
Even if they are our enemies, they're still our countrymen.
But it won't be me that pulled the trigger.
Colonel!
It'll be our friend, the American defector.
People aren't the ones who dictate the missions.
Then who does?
The times.
Sorry I'm late.
So, as you see on the screen right now, I'm going to play the side-by-side comparison because Konami has emphasized that Metal Gear Solid Delta has always aimed to remain faithful to the original structure of Snake Eater, which is reflected in the choice of the title's Delta symbol, indicating change without altering the underlying framework. While the original voice cast returns and the story elements are retained, the game will feature enhanced AI, a more immersive environment, and seamless transitions between gameplay and cutscenes, which is a significant improvement over the original's technological limitations. Hey, don't hate the game, right? But yeah, I mean, of course, as technology evolves, things are gonna get better. Hopefully. I don't know. I've been doing a Black Mirror rewatch, so. In addition to visual updates, the game's environments feel more dynamic, further enhancing the stealth gameplay. Also of note, the game will be further enhanced with the PS5 Pro. There are several titles being released with the Pro enhancement. Again, I didn't really read into it too much, but the PlayStation 5 Pro is a whopping $700. But, after spending over $600 on a wedding cake, it doesn't really seem that impractical to drop $700 on a gaming system. But again, if you want a deeper dive into the Pro versus the current PlayStation 5, let me know in the comments down below and I'll do my research. I don't have either right now, so that is going to be something I look into for personal consumer purchases, but I don't know anything right now. I don't know. What's the difference? I don't know. In GamingBot's video, he mentioned the game is so faithful it retains the loading screens between areas, which he comments on being a bit clunky. However, after playing Sniper Elite Ghost Warrior 3, I feel like loading screens aren't really a thing of the past, but maybe my expectations are too low because I'm still on the PlayStation 4. I don't know. You guys are all fancy with your PlayStation 5s. But as we did hear already in the summary and with videogamer.com, I do want to clarify that there are seamless gameplay to cutscene transitions. So it definitely shows the, upgrade that the remake brings. So there are segments for loading screens, which I think also can be used as a storytelling feature. It naturally tells your brain, this is a new scene, this is a new chapter in the book, that kind of thing. So I'm really not mad at it. I guess we'll see how long they take and how much space it's going to take. Something that hasn't been spoiled for me yet, and I hope it won't be spoiled, is how the enemy The End is going to be handled. So in the original Snake Eater, you might remember if you've played it or if you heard, I think this was one of those everyone knew Easter egg things, that if you waited in 3 real life days, you could have an easy way to defeat The End using death by old age. For the record, I did not use that. It was tempting. I do remember The End being a struggle for me, but I did beat him the traditional kind of way. So I did see some article teasing towards it, and I didn't read that one specifically because I was some things can be a secret. And I think that was just speculations anyway, so I can add my thoughts on it. It's kind of like if they ever remade, I guess on the Switch, they did the original Metal Gear Solid with Psycho Mantis. He used to read your memory card in the PlayStation. And it was like, oh, it was this big thing. I didn't, I heard about it before, so it was before my time of being in the fandom. But it's still, really, really crazy, right? Hell, even in Metal Gear 2, when the Colonel's like, you need to stop playing video games. You play them too long, go outside. It's like, oh, the meta just like, I feel like it would lose its magic. Like it wouldn't have the same feel, and it would feel more gimmicky of it's literally just a port to a new station, a new system, if they kept that in. However, I mean, it could also still be part of the lore. Like, what game has the enemy die not by your hands? It's like going into a battle and then the guy gets like hit by a car. You know what I mean? Like who does that? It is interesting. I can see both ways, and I can see people being upset both ways. So I guess it's really whatever they want to do, because you're not going to please everyone, Speaking of, Game Rant and other gaming news media have mentioned that there are two styles of gameplay, the Legacy and the New. While the Legacy style is the classic fixed camera, the new style is a wide-angle third-person perspective. So again, Metal Gear 2 was the first game in the series that I played, and the reason I was able to play it was because it wasn't first-person shooter. I mean, obviously, I could line up and shoot a gun in first person, but I can't run around Doom style first person. I've gotten a little bit better now. It's just not my preferred style. Actually, before it was because I was traumatized as a child and I was scared because I just felt like I couldn't see next to me. I needed to know, because in a game, you don't have peripheral vision. But now as an adult, it's the less fun. I just get motion sickness a lot of the times. So some styles of gameplay, it's physically painful for me because it induces migraines. But I prefer not to play still in first person, even though I've gotten better at it. So I appreciate Metal Gear because they were able to blend that. Like, again, they introduced me into the world of stealth. I don't imagine having another option of gameplay would be a bad thing. I know, again, it was like an opinion piece that if you try different ways, it won't win either way in terms of being a strong gameplay. But I don't think Metal Gear ever had that problem of being a weak game. I don't see how adding an option would lessen it for either version. Maybe I'm not seeing something. I don't see how it's a bad thing. I don't know. I think sometimes people just need something to talk about in their articles. So one thing I think is really cool is the feedback from those involved in the game. This probably has happened with newer games nowadays, but back in the day, I don't really know, they were credited on screen, but I don't know that people really ever spoke to the people making it, So I thought that was kind of cool that we have this to pull from. So in a recent interview, Metal Gear Solid Delta producer Noriaki Akamura reassured fans that the remake is playable from start to finish, though the developers are refining details to ensure they meet the fan expectations. He also apologized for the lack of a concrete release date, underscoring the pressure on the development team to deliver a product that stays faithful to the beloved original. Konami is also leveraging the PS5's AI-driven upscaling technology to enhance the visual experience, particularly in rendering the jungle environments. As far as what I can hear and read and everything, the game is playable. Obviously, a lot of people have now been able to play. That's some of the scenes that you're seeing in this video, with credit given, clips of other people getting to try the beta, test trial run. So it's playable. They just really want to make sure that it's as strong as it can be, which I appreciate. I think it shows that there is care and love, and this isn't just a cash money grab. I think there was a need to kind of revisit this series, and I think it's really cool. Back in September, they created a mini YouTube series called Production Hotline, and unfortunately, I think it's only 2 episodes long, but they did this to ease fans' nerves and answer some questions from the production team themselves. In their second episode, they did highlight the concern that it doesn't feel very original because it follows the original game too closely, which kind of just goes to show you that you can't please everyone, because if they remade it, then they'd be like, what is this? You remade it without Kojima, you know? So something that I thought was really cool is that they do share a clip of the original staff credits.
第二次世界大戦終結後、世界は東西に二分された。冷戦と呼ばれる時代の幕開けである。
降下20分前。機内減圧開始。装備チェック。アームメインパラシュート。よし。準備はいいか。高気圧。依然として目標地域に停滞中。キャブ OK。いいぞ。視界は良好だ。雨気を消せ。酸素ホースを機体のコネクターに接続。マスク装着せよ。あの男素人か。リリースポイントに接近中。降下10分前。おい、聞こえたか。雨気を消してマスクを装着しろ。
And I liked that their decision to say originally by, not necessarily written by, you know, like, and then now those people had nothing to do with it. A noticeable change was a Hideo Kojima game was switched to based on Metal Gear Solid 3, which again keeps the credits honest while acknowledging the change in director. So that series invited fans to comment using the hashtag #JustMetalGearThings, and then they would see it and comment on it. Unfortunately, again, I haven't seen them post since that second episode in September. Maybe they're like me and October just was not a good scheduling month. But you never know what could get started. So if you want to use the hashtag #JustMetalGearThings, and like that, like people were posting under there just like, oh, they saw, you know, a building. Every time I see oil like rigs and stuff like that, like in news media, I immediately think of Metal Gear. So yeah, doesn't hurt. Maybe it'll be trending. Who knows? So, critics' impressions. The general consensus among those previewing the game is cautiously optimistic. Critics have praised the visual enhancements, but also raised concerns about the remake being too faithful to the original, possibly limiting the scope for innovation in gameplay mechanics. Some reviewers have noted that while the remake nails the atmosphere and characters, it remains to be seen how gameplay improvements will affect the overall experience.
Few games truly deserve the remake treatment as much as Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Arguably the best stealth action game of its generation, back in 2004 it pushed the PlayStation 2 to its very limits, so much so that the hardware occasionally weighed down its ambitions. 20 years later, a complete remake from Konami using the power of modern consoles has the potential to unlock the full, uncompromised vision of the game's original creators. Instead, this new Kojima-less Metal Gear Solid Delta seems more like a very shiny HD remaster than the elegant remake it could have been. It's an admittedly beautiful nostalgia trip, but almost faithful to a fault.
And I do think, again, this was sort of outdated. I have not personally watched any of the gameplay trailers. That makes sense? Yes. I've watched the trailers. I've not watched people with early access playing the game other than like clips. Like I clicked through for the visuals for this. I love watching Let's Plays, so that I'm not against it, but I don't know. I've always felt a little bit like seeing the trial. Like if I'm going to take a first opinion, I don't know, because I read articles about people's gameplay. I don't know what it is. It's about like the trial. I guess it's because, they got the piece of candy and I get to watch them eat it. I'm like, I want the candy, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Anyway. Release date. Yes, the age-old is dinner-ready evenings. Are we there yet? Car rides. Is the schedule out for conventions? When will Delta be released? Not even the project leaders seem to know. So as producer Noriaki, I keep saying it right and I'm not thinking I say it right, Noriaki Akamura stated they don't want to make any promises they can't keep and to please wait a little longer, which honestly is fine by me. I know the real reason is because they're secretly waiting for me to pay off this wedding and be able to save up for a PS5 so I can jump at it on launch day. I am still heartbroken that I missed out on Yuffie, but my PlayStation 4 is still chugging away. Thank you very much. Yes. So, I'll get on the next gen train soon enough. We had all the previous ones. There was a hiccup for the PS5, but we will get there. However, creative producer Yuji Korekado has been quoted as saying game development doesn't proceed at a constant pace. So it's difficult to express, but we can see the goal and we're just adding the parts that are still missing. Again, what I hear, the base game has been made. They're just polishing it, right? Like the house has been made. Now they are polishing the banister, cleaning the wood floor, like making it presentable. So yes, someone technically could live in that house, but you want new paint on the walls, That's how I hear, because otherwise, like that game was made 20 years ago. So yeah, there's already a playable game. I'm sure they mean Delta. So, my conclusion, allow me to read. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is shaping up to be a visually stunning, faithful remake that brings modern technical advances to a classic game without straying far from its roots. While the development team is tight-lipped about the exact release date, the game is already playable from start to finish, with only final tweaks left. Fans can expect a familiar yet fresh experience when the game finally hits the shelves, combining nostalgia with cutting-edge technology. I have a note here. I did not go into detail with this. Again, this was going back into my intro that this video is going to be a little bit more broad terms, Metal Gear. But I would be remiss if I did not mention the amazing two-part series detailing the Legacy series featuring David Hayter. There really aren't many things that I fangirl over, but if my man Hayter has a good relationship with Konami, I can forgive the messy divorce with Kojima. I think before I was a little bit on the fence of, is this a money grab? And, if Kojima is not involved, can I support another Metal Gear game? I can't help but feel as I watch the trailers and rewatch that even though I'm sure Hideo feels some sort of pain and negativity in a human way, not like bad vibes towards the project, but it hurts when something that you are, really built yourself goes on and you're not involved. I think he would appreciate genuinely seeing his masterpiece really upgraded to that cinema level quality visual. Hideo has always fought, can I call him Hideo? We're not there close. Kojima-sama has always been an advocate that games are an art form, much like that, like movies and books, rather than just, whatever the news people always say, that it's just like a time dump, So I think he would appreciate that his strong storyline, as convoluted as it is, gets that visual upgrade. I do think he would. And again, I think it's very multifaceted. He, as a person, as an individual, and then Kojima Productions like his business. You know, it is shady to take someone else's intellectual property and continue on with it. But at the same time, we've all, well, maybe not all, I have several times signed NDAs and agreements that anything that I create or produce under an employer's name is the employer's. So Metal Gear belonged with Konami. And I think we saw that in their, messy divorce, because Metal Gear didn't go with Kojima. And at the same time, I don't think he really fought for it. Not that he doesn't love it, but in his eyes, the story was told. He was done. I know Phantom Pain wasn't finished, to be frank. And maybe that's why I never finished it. I got stuck on like campaign 51 or something like that. I was almost done. It just got really repetitive. And then when you learn, well, yeah, because the game, he went over budget. And then that's when he left. Like it wasn't completed. So that was a tangent. I often go on those. Welcome to my channel. But it is nice to see David Hayter being respected by Konami. And he's actually been noted as saying, from the beginning, Konami and I started talking, and I came aboard to help do promotion and work with them. They've let me in on what they're doing behind the scenes. I got to play a little bit of the game a few months ago. There may be some things that I'm doing voice-wise that I can't really talk about yet, but I'm working to support the game, and I'm pretty involved, which is nice. And yeah, I think that's nice too. David really is a huge part of, at least in the American version or the English-speaking version of Metal Gear. You can't have Snake without David. I think that's also why everyone was pretty pissed about Phantom Pain. And I really don't feel that it just doesn't connect with the rest. But I think it was also falling into the folly of what is trending, like the gameplay story. Whatever. That is a separate tangent. I will not go on that. I forced myself to stop talking, so now I don't know what to say. So I knew it would never be released in 2024, which again, selfishly is okay with me because I don't know if it's being released on the PS4. I think it only is PS5, so I wouldn't have been able to play it anyway. But yeah, I am excited for 2025, like January. I'm going to start playing Metal Gear Solid on Tier 2 Works. However, I think I'm going to pre-record to get myself into scheduling, like of a gaming recording. And that way I can start posting and I'll have some and then I can continue on and get into a posting schedule. I also have a posting schedule for this channel. Big things. I actually finally made the mental connect. So I think I am good with the content I am going to release and put out. This video is a good indicator. Not the quality, because I'm going to try to be a little bit more put together, but the content, gaming, pop culture, voice acting, it'll all come together. It'll be great. Or it won't. And, it's a hobby, so I can do what I want. Anyway, remember that you are loved, you are worthy, and whatever you are struggling with today will pass. Until next time, stay crazy.